I got back from a work trip a couple weeks ago and walked into a nightmare. My apartment was invaded by my sister and her kids. Seriously, the whole place was turned upside down, and when I told them to get out, my entire family jumped down my throat. Let me tell you, this whole thing has been crazy. I'm 28 and I've had my own place for 3 years. It's my sanctuary, you know. I'm a software developer and I value my space. I like things just so. So I was on this business trip, traveling all over the country for 2 weeks. When I left, my apartment was perfect, spotless, exactly how I liked it. Coming home, I was exhausted. I unlocked the door and I couldn't believe my eyes. My sister, Sarah, who's 25, and her 3 little kids, 3, 5, and 7, they were just there, living in my apartment. And I don't mean a couple of overnight bags. I mean furniture rearranged, toys everywhere, kids' clothes crammed into my spare bedroom, food I'd never seen before in my fridge. For a second, I honestly thought I'd walked into the wrong apartment. Then Sarah walks out of the bathroom, cool as a cucumber, like this is totally normal. "Oh, you're back," she says, not even batting an eye, just strolls right past me. I'm standing there, key still in the door, completely speechless. Then she adds, "Mom said you'd be home today." Like that explains everything. I'm standing there trying to figure out what's happening, and the kids come running over, all excited to see Uncle James. My apartment was a total mess. When I finally found my voice, I just blurted out, "What the hell is going on here?" Sarah explained she needed a place to crash for a bit because she was having trouble with her landlord. Apparently, she got the okay from our parents to use my place while I was out of town. They said it would be fine with me, like that made everything okay. I was furious. I hadn't gotten a call, no text, nothing. Nobody even thought to ask the renter if it was cool to move a whole family into his apartment. I called my parents right away, and their reaction just made me even angrier. "Oh, James, I'm so glad Sarah has a place to stay." My mom said her landlord was being totally unreasonable. Dad called me, and he started on me about how I was being selfish and family should help family. When I pointed out they let my sister into my apartment without my permission, he said helping my sister wouldn't kill me and I had all that extra space. I told him that I pay a ton of money for my place because I want privacy when I'm not traveling. I work from home, and having 3 kids there would make it impossible. Plus, my lease says no long-term guests without letting the management know. Their reply was, "Well, she's already moved in, you can't just kick her out." I can, though. Honestly, it was like I was the crazy one just for wanting my own apartment back, even though it's my place. Sarah told the kids they're staying here, but when I asked her, she just dodged the question. She said she was looking into options, but nothing solid. So when I pressed her about getting a new place, Sarah and the kids pretty much took over. My bedroom and the guest room are theirs, and I'm stuck on the couch. My once tidy apartment is a total mess. Toys are everywhere, I have zero privacy, and the kids are loud from early morning until late at night. I gave Sarah a week to figure something else out. I just don't get how it's okay to basically kick me out of my own apartment that I pay for without even talking to my parents about it, and I'm the one being difficult. Am I being totally selfish here? How the heck do I get my privacy back without blowing up the whole family? First off, I want to say thanks to everyone who commented and supported me after my first post. It seriously helped me feel like I wasn't losing it. Since then, things have actually gotten worse. I talked to Sarah directly since some of you suggested I find out how she got into my apartment in the first place. She didn't break in. Turns out my parents gave her a key. Yep, you read that right. So it turns out my folks gave my sister a key to my apartment. Apparently it was for emergencies only, but they kept it a secret from me. I lost it when I found out, let me tell you. Mom just said, "We knew you'd freak out." Dad basically shrugged it off, saying I was overreacting, that nothing bad happened. His words were, "Sarah needed help, you weren't here. What were we supposed to do? Let her and the kids live on the street?" I tried to explain that there were other options. They could have had her stay with them, helped her find a temporary place, or, at least called me first. But whatever. Anyway, I've been cleaning up the mess, and wow, was there a mess. Stuff was missing, some things were broken, and it was a disaster. My fancy noise-canceling headphones were wrecked. There were stains all over my couch that weren't there before. A signed baseball I kept in a case gone. My PlayStation and 3 games, poof. Someone even drew all over my bedroom wall with markers. I asked Sarah about it, and she totally clammed up. She said she had no idea what I was talking about with the PlayStation and the baseball. Said the headphones were probably broken already. And the stains and the wall? Just kids being kids, she said. My expensive sheets, the ones I bought specifically because they help me sleep, are stained with something that looks like juice or Kool-Aid. Her response? "They'll wash out. Stop being so materialistic." This is way more than just a privacy violation. It's a total disrespect of my stuff and my space. I later found out those kids had been sleeping in my bed while I was gone, can you believe that? So now it's all about getting my property back and setting some serious boundaries. I told Sarah, straight up, that the 1-week deadline still stands. I made it crystal clear to my parents no more access to my apartment ever. I even changed the locks myself, even though the landlord offered to pay half. After I explained everything, somehow I'm the bad guy because I want my own place back and I'm ticked off about all the stuff that's broken or missing. But I'm not backing down. This is my apartment. My parents are giving me the cold shoulder now, and Sarah's been running her mouth to the family, saying I'm kicking her and the kids out on the street. I've offered to help Sarah find a new place, even offered to lend her money for a deposit, but I'm sticking to my guns on that deadline. This is my stuff, and I have every right to be furious about what happened. I'll give another update by the end of the week. The damage is worse than I thought, and some things are just gone. I wish I had better news. It's been 4 days since my last update. That PlayStation and all the games, poof, gone. Sarah let her boyfriend borrow them without even asking me. And that autographed baseball vanished from its case. I've gone through everything again, and the damage and missing items are even worse than I first thought. So I went to get something out of the desk drawer, where I keep all the important stuff. That's when I found this little lockbox, and inside, $500 in cash. Thing is, my emergency fund was completely wiped out. When I finally talked to Sarah about it, she confessed that she'd taken it, said she was strapped for cash and would pay me back ASAP. But then one of the kids took it outside to play with, and now it's gone, lost somewhere in the park near here. I took photos of everything, made a whole list of what was missing or damaged. Almost $2,000 worth. I sent it to Sarah and my folks, telling them I needed to be paid back. But they just didn't really react. No time frame, no real understanding of how serious it was to just take money that wasn't hers. Their responses were what you'd expect, honestly. The deadline I gave them is almost here, and Sarah still hasn't even looked into finding a place to live. Instead, she's really laying on the guilt trip, using the kids to try and make me feel bad. She keeps saying she can't afford it, and my parents are giving me a hard time, acting like I'm being a jerk to my sister during a tough situation. Like, where is she supposed to go? One of the little ones started crying when she asked them that, right in front of me. And I've learned more about what's going on with her living situation. Turns out, despite what my folks were saying, she wasn't exactly homeless. She got kicked out of her place because she hadn't been paying rent for months. This isn't an emergency. Look, even though my folks have always helped out financially, the pressure's on me to break this chain of bad choices. And things at the apartment, they've gotten super tense. Sarah, as a payback for me pushing the kids to go, she's completely stopped cleaning up after them. Toys everywhere, a mountain of dishes in the sink and the bathroom. It's turned into something I never thought possible, and all in just a few days. I tried setting boundaries, locking my office door all day, but the kids won't stop screaming for me and banging on the door, totally messing up my work calls. And Sarah. She doesn't even try to redirect them, doesn't even care about my work schedule. Before all this, Sarah was complaining that I wasn't helping her find a boyfriend in my apartment with food. Things really blew up last night, though, when I got back with takeout for myself. I'd barely even met this guy, twice, tops. And there he was on my couch, drinking my beer, acting like he was a permanent fixture. Sarah flipped out when I said something, saying I was being controlling, that I couldn't dictate her social life. I had to remind her that I'm the one paying the rent, the one who decides who's allowed in here. We fought, big time, and her boyfriend, I guess, left, but not before he accused me of something like sticking with your own blood. Now my folks have roped in other family to give me grief. My aunts, uncle, and even grandma have all been on my case, They keep saying family's the most important thing, and I should be more understanding about Sarah's situation. I talked to my landlord, and he was way more cool about it than I expected. He totally gets that having someone live with me who's not on the lease breaks the rules, but he said he'd work with me. Of course, he also dropped the hint that we might have to go through the whole eviction process if she doesn't move out, which is terrifying. I'm prepping myself for that possibility. 3 days left before the deadline. I'll give you all another update after that. Like everyone thought, Sarah didn't even try to find another place to stay as the deadline loomed. Nope. She dug in her heels, claiming she knew her rights and that I couldn't kick her out without giving her enough warning. Even though she's not actually on the lease, it looks like she's gotten some legal advice. So I officially gave her a 30-day notice to vacate in writing. I even got my landlord and a lawyer friend to make sure it was all above board. I handed it to her personally and sent it certified mail. She just laughed in my face. Her parting words, "Good luck with that. My folks went ballistic when they got the official word. "I'm not going anywhere," they practically screamed. Dad ripped into me on the phone, saying I was wrecking the family, that he'd raised me better than this. Mom, she took a different approach, called me sobbing, completely heartbroken, and just couldn't understand what I'd done. They both put paperwork ahead of family and flat out refused to take Sarah and the kids. Then Sarah's ex, the kid's dad, hit me up, and things went sideways real fast. Turns out Sarah told him the kids were gonna be with my parents, not me. He was totally freaked out about the whole situation, worried sick about the kids living there. He was already trying to get more custody anyway, and after hearing everything, he offered to take the kids full time until Sarah gets back on her feet. Sarah lost it when she found out I'd talked to him. She accused me of trying to steal her kids, said I went behind her back. After that, I just didn't feel safe in my own place anymore with her acting so crazy. So I'm still paying rent, but I've crashed with a friend for now. And then yesterday, boom, my landlord called some neighbor, complained about a huge racket coming from my apartment. So I looked into it, and it turns out Sarah had a whole crew living there, her kids, her boyfriend, and 2 other friends who just, moved in. That was it for my landlord. He's all for kicking Sarah out now that the eviction process has officially started because she wasn't supposed to be there. We have to do everything by the book, since she's been living there long enough to claim residency. But the landlord's lawyer's pushing for things to move super fast. I told Sarah I wouldn't sue her for the stuff she stole and the damage if she just leaves before the eviction's final. Otherwise, I'm taking her to small claims court for everything. My parents, instead of being mad at me like they were, are now trying to work things out. To give Sarah some time to find a new place without an eviction on her record, they offered to pay for a hotel for 2 weeks if I dropped the eviction. But 2 weeks would just turn into another crisis, you know? So I said no. Now my whole family's fighting. Some family members get it and have quietly offered to help me out. But others are still making me out to be the villain, saying I'm just being mean to my sister and her kids for my own gain. I've documented everything, though, so I've got proof. Where I was living, it wasn't legal, stuff was missing, and the mail was a mess. My family was all over me, but my lawyer buddy kept saying I was good legally. The craziest part? My relationship with my parents is totally different now. I always knew they gave Sarah a lot of slack, but I never realized how much they just ignored my rights and what I said was okay. It's been like that my whole life, you know? I figured out that they just let Sarah run wild and I was supposed to deal with it. This is the first time I haven't, and it's both awful and amazing at the same time. I'll post one last time when this is all over. Okay, final thoughts. It's been 2 months since my last update, and I'm writing this from my own apartment. It's finally settled, but man, it really messed things up with my family. The good news? Sarah and her whole crew are gone. 6 weeks after that last post, the sheriff finally showed up with the eviction notice. It took forever because of some court stuff. She wasn't even there when it happened. She actually skipped town 2 days before, grabbing whatever she could. My place was a wreck. On top of everything else that had already happened, there was more damage. The furniture was wrecked, the carpet stained, the walls had holes punched in them, and it looked like someone had deliberately trashed my stuff. My landlord, bless his heart, he was really understanding, but he said I had to fix everything before I could get my apartment back. So I ended up paying for all the repairs myself, a whopping $3,700. I'd offered to drop the whole lawsuit if Sarah just left, but after seeing what she'd done, I knew I had to sue her for all the stuff she stole and destroyed. It just wasn't right. She needed to be held responsible. I got back $2,150 for the stolen and damaged stuff, plus the $500 I'd grabbed from my emergency fund. Honestly, I didn't even care about the money at that point, but I wanted a record of what she'd done. Sarah's living with my parents now. She had nowhere else to go after she burned all her bridges with friends who'd briefly taken her in. Her dad stepped up. He saw the mess of my apartment and got emergency custody of her kids. She doesn't have custody anymore, just weekend visits. And yeah, things are definitely different with my parents now. It was when the eviction notice came down that they seemed to finally get it. My mom called, to say she was sorry for how everything blew up, but not for giving Sarah my key or stomping all over my privacy. It was more of a kinda, sorta sorry. My dad's been a whole other story. He acts like the legal route was totally uncalled for, like I should have just, I don't know, magically fixed things. He's especially pissed about the whole custody mess with Sarah's kids, and he's blaming me for it, not her choices. We're talking, but it's super awkward. We don't say much. Sarah's off limits, and I've laid it all out about what's open for discussion. I also made it crystal clear that they're never setting foot in any of my places again, and I won't be bailing Sarah out if something else goes down. I still get the occasional jab about being the one who kicked his own sister out, but the rest of the family has pretty much moved on to different gossip. I don't bother defending myself anymore. The people who matter get it, and the others probably never will. The best part. I now see how much my real friends mean to me. My work buddies who covered for me when I was all over the place, my friend who let me crash at his place during the eviction, and even my landlord who actually had my back. These people showed me what real support truly means, and I learned a ton about setting and keeping boundaries, something I really needed. For years, I was supposed to just go along with things, always putting Sarah first. Man, it was rough breaking that habit, but I had to stop feeling guilty about protecting myself, my stuff, and my time. Since she got kicked out, we haven't talked properly. I didn't even answer her text where she blamed me for ruining her life and taking her kids away. She's already stirring up trouble at my parents' place, looking for her next way out of debt. From what I hear, even though the whole thing was exhausting and sometimes heartbreaking, I know I did the right thing. My apartment feels like home again. Now that things are calmer, my work's going much better. But most importantly, I've made it crystal clear that nobody, not even family, is going to walk all over me anymore. We're so thankful to everyone who helped and cheered us on through all that. Your support meant the world to me when my family was piling on the pressure. Sometimes, when being good means giving up everything, your space, your self-respect, everything, you gotta be the bad guy. The truth is, I was always a bit of an outsider. Growing up, I never really fit in, not with the kids in my neighborhood, and certainly not with my own family. I always felt different, like I was looking at the world through a distorted lens. My childhood home wasn't exactly a haven either. There was a lot of tension, arguments that would echo through the house late into the night. I learned early on to retreat into my own head, where I could escape the chaos and find some peace. Books became my best friends, offering a sanctuary and a way to understand the confusing world around me. I would spend hours lost in fantastical realms, far removed from the reality of my everyday life. As I got older, things didn't get much easier. High school was a minefield of social anxieties. The pressure to be popular, to conform, was overwhelming, and I just couldn't. I was awkward, shy, and often felt completely invisible. I was constantly comparing myself to others, and of course, I always fell short. Those years were a blur of loneliness, and I was desperately searching for a place where I belonged. Then came the first real heartbreak, which completely shattered me. It felt like the end of the world at the time. That pain was so intense, a dull ache I couldn't shake off. I remember thinking I'd never recover. It took a long time to even begin to heal from that and to start believing in myself again. I'm still on that journey, figuring it all out step by step.